Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you very much. My name is Anna Schmidt, and together with Albina, my colleague, we will give you some insights on challenges, needs, and potential solutions for nutrient recovery stakeholders in the initial stage of a circular solution. I'm a research assistant at the Department of Management, Society and Communication here at Copenhagen Business School. My colleague Albina is a postdoc researcher and also the lead of our team working in P2Green is Assistant Professor Isabel Frost, also here today. I will start our presentation with giving you some insights that we gathered throughout the work that we've done within the project on stakeholder engagement and identifying local challenges and needs. Then Albina will give you some insights on our further research on national opportunities and threats in upscaling source separation. And then I will conclude our presentation with a EU-wide survey that we drafted and want to distribute to further get insights on our research outcomes. So to give you an overview what we've been doing in P2Green project, we had 3 workshops. The first workshop was a co-creation workshop where we gathered among all partners of P2Green relevant stakeholders in the pilot regions and in the follower regions. And we also ranked these stakeholders according to relevancy. So this provided us with a nice overview of relevant stakeholders to work with and who to engage. Then the second workshop that we carried out were in the 3 pilot regions with external local stakeholders. And then we had a third workshop focusing on engagement strategies, also drawing up on the outcomes from the second workshop. And today I will mostly focus on the outcomes from our second workshop. So here we had 3 individual workshops in the German, in the Spanish, and the Swedish pilot region. And these workshops were designed to provide a platform for external stakeholders to come together and define current challenges and needs that they're facing. And also it was a platform for discussing potential solution to overcome these local challenges and also benefits of engaging with our project. And on the right side, you can see an overview. So across these 3 workshops, we had 82 participants of stakeholders, mostly representing small and medium-sized enterprises and businesses, but also we had participants from representing research and academia, NGOs, and also public authorities. And giving you just some brief insights, what kind of challenges were mapped and discussed in these workshops. You can see here on the right, it was mostly related to governance aspects, social awareness, and then also infrastructural challenges. And here keep in mind that this is a very local approach. We had this co-creation session in a small group of stakeholders with the local context of the participants. However, we believe that this is a very nice qualitative insight that helped us in starting our research to understand the perspective and the agenda of the different stakeholders that we try to engage and that we're in communication with. So for the Spanish pilot region, major challenges mentioned in this workshop were especially overcoming societal resistance and also promote best practices and share results of water reclamation. Additionally, it was mentioned that building effective stakeholder networks is and remains a challenge. So to really find the correct stakeholders to collaborate with, to share knowledge with, and also to build up further and scale up test sites. And especially in the Spanish pilot region, it was also highlighted that there is a lack of knowledge and training, especially in the accessibility to digital tools used for water reclamation, and also the digital use of these tools to reduce possible impact on soils and to estimate the water demand for different crop requirements. So these technological challenges were highlighted here especially. Then for the German workshop that we carried out, also here societal acceptance was a big challenge that was mentioned. However, it was not necessarily like societal acceptance by farmers or users of the fertilizers. However, it was more that it was mentioned that there is a lack of a clear vision and clear goals how a transition to a more circular sanitation system would look like, and these common agendas seem to be missing, which were mentioned as a major challenge to bring stakeholders together and to work towards a common vision and common goals. Then a shortage of real-life demonstration and test sites was also mentioned. Here, I think it was especially interesting that it was mentioned that the current economic system is favoring non-circular solutions. Therefore, it is hard to implement test sites and to scale up test sites. And in that regard, it was also mentioned that there is still the perception that circular solutions are less financially viable than mainstream solutions, also playing into the factor that upscaling remains challenging. And as we just heard before, the certification of the fertilizers produced in P2Green remain challenging. There are many layers, many legislative layers and frameworks. And especially in our workshops, it was also highlighted that these legislative frameworks work not within the idea of the stakeholders to move towards a decentralized sanitation system. And especially a clarification of these legislative frameworks would be required for the stakeholders present in these workshops to understand how to replicate activities carried out in P2Green and how to replicate the value chain of the German pilot region. For the Swedish pilot region, also here, major challenges were within defining the correct stakeholders and also defining the decision makers and also understanding who is responsible for which kind of decision. And also here, similar, it was mentioned that there is a lack of research, of knowledge distribution and pilot testing. So here it was highlighted that there is the need for further investigation and further pilot testing in order to increase societal knowledge and, in the longer sense, societal acceptance. And additionally, it was also mentioned that the infrastructure is not ready for being implemented of circular solutions. So, for example, like it was mentioned that double piping and decentralized urine collection is still not implemented. Therefore, it remains a challenge. And also within this workshop, we had an opportunity for stakeholders to discuss potential solutions to overcome these challenges. And here we have some solutions that can be implemented or can be partly implemented in the near future and current. So focusing on the aspects of building networks and having the challenge to have stakeholders engagement, it is important to build synergies with other projects, with other stakeholders, create and join these networks, which remain to be challenging to be found, and through that create far-reaching impact. It was also mentioned that it's important to get away from stereotypes. So this could be, for example, that there is still the perception that circular solutions might not be financially viable. So to work against these perceptions. And then it was also mentioned to draw insights from other debates, for example, the debate around climate, around the climate debate. So here it could be interesting to draw on these debates, which already are very established, which are far-reached, to connect to these debates. And then, of course, also to stress resilience and circular solutions, which is also connected to the more short-term solutions, to really share best practices, to try to upscale test sites, to interconnect test sites. And another solution was then also mentioned to bring the outcomes from these best practices or share these best practices through educational initiatives, bringing it in the curriculums of educational institutes, but also continuously follow up with research and scale up the research. Additionally, it was mentioned to explore funding opportunities and then in the long run to also allocate budget and align and collectively push national sustainability and circularity goals. And with this overview of our local challenges and needs that we identified, I will give it to my colleague Albina, who will continue with the national challenges and needs.
Thank you, Anna, for your insightful comments. And really, our findings on the local level inspired us to run the study on the national level. And here we'll present our results of research. We ran a pestle SWOT analysis on human excreta recycling in Sweden. So we were focusing in our research on identifying weaknesses and strengths in this sector in Sweden, and also we provide theory-driven strategies to scale up this sector in Sweden. We chosen Sweden because it's always referred as a pioneer in this sector. As you can see, the first attempt to these practices were already in 70s, and also on the other hand. There is like a big issue in Sweden with eutrophication of Baltic Sea area. So this makes this case very interesting to analyze. In our study, we applied a rapid evidence review strategy. We analyzed papers, peer review articles that were published from 2003 till 2023, and they were focused on recovery and reuse of human excreta in Sweden. As you can see, our search strengths were developed based on previous papers, and also we had input of experts within Peter Green Consortium. As you can see from the beginning, we find 713 relevant papers, but applying inclusion and exclusion criteria, we ended up with 24 relevant papers that we analyzed further. So we applied the pestle SWOT framework. So within every pestle factor, we find internal strengths and weaknesses, and also external opportunities and threats for every factor to code analyzed paper. And here you can see results of our analysis. So the main stress here, we can say that environmental strengths were the most dominant within strengths and opportunities. They were, but on other hand, legal weaknesses, as we discussed further during this workshop, were like most referred. And if you can take a look deeper, closer look for strengths, so also market benefits were repeatedly mentioned. For example, Carlston in their study stressed that improved water quality benefit Baltic Sea recreation value, and it also benefit all society here in the area. Also reducing of eutrophication and green gas emission were repeatedly mentioned, and of course social gains in areas with limited access to sanitation, and also Carsten mentioned here in his first presentation today. And if we can take a look on weaknesses and threats that were identified in our studies, so of course legal were the most the biggest attention from in the analyzed papers. So also low social acceptance. For example, so there is still social and culture taboos, and also they usually based on some concerns over safety of this human excreta-derived fertilizer use in agriculture. Also, there is risk aversion among key stakeholders to adopt this new technology, also due lack of trust to these technologies. And from the legal perspective, there is lack of common vision and lack of cross-sectoral cooperation among local communities. And based on this pestle SWOT analysis, we developed scaling up strategies for Sweden, and we tried to tackle every pestle factor to provide recommendation how to deal with identified threats, but also use internal and external opportunities. So for political factor, we recommend implementing clear policies that could incentivize circular businesses, because it could tackle resistance of key stakeholders to implement this technology. From economic strategy, we of course recommend scaling up the transition to mass market, as it also could help to tackle this challenge of high cost of this technology. And from social factor, also we recommend build a stronger stakeholder engagement policy, because it will help improve communication strategies and also address low social acceptance and enhance knowledge dissemination, and is really highly needed in the national level. And from technological strategy, of course, it's a really high need in investment in research and development. And from environmental point, of course, it's crucial to address regional differences. As we can see from our local workshops, context is very important here. And from legal point, of course, we need stricter legislation and improve municipality cooperation to help address this inconsistency between national laws and lack of coordination between local municipalities. So in conclude, implementing clear policy and providing stronger stakeholder engagement policy are really crucial steps in overcoming identified barriers. And if you want to have more details on our findings, we can share with you preprints of our paper, because now it's under revision in the Journal of Environmental Management. So we will be happy to share our results.
Thank you, Albina. And then I will conclude with this slide, as already mentioned, based on the data that we gathered in this paper that Albina presented. We now developed a EU-wide expert survey because we saw the need to bring it up from, as you understood, from the local level to the national level, also to the EU-wide level. And this survey is meant to rank key challenges and threats, as well as ranking the opportunities and strengths that we found out in our previous research. And it will feed into the developing of a set of recommendations targeting both EU and national policymakers. Also, this is part of our work package where we will continuously work on this topic. So now we would ask all of you to share your expertise. You can scan the QR code, or we will also share the link for the survey in the chat. It will take about 15 to 20 minutes, and we would be very grateful for your expertise. Thank you very much.